Hello YouTube, it's Poke1090, and I am here for Season 5 of the UTA, the United Trainers Association. This is a league I've been in since Season 1. I have so much fun playing in it, and so I'm really excited to be back for the new season. So just a few things about the rules. Oh, first, of course, as you see on the screen, and you already know if you're following my channel, because I don't have anyone following who doesn't know me, I'm the coach of your Cleveland Grounds, and a couple just things about the rules for this league. So it is on Showdown, of course. It is post DLC 1, so it doesn't include like any leaks for like the Crown Tundra, but it includes the Isle of Armor for any mons that are in the game. And old moves are allowed. Hidden Power, for example, is allowed. Megas are allowed. Z-mons are allowed. You can have you have a certain number of points that you can assign to mons of different tiers to let them use Z moves. You can dry pass only, I think. I'll have to double check on that. I know you can pass at some extent. I'm not sure if it's dry or just not speed. Any other major rules that are like out of the norm? I don't think so. So we're just going to jump right into my draft. So I started out, I was later than halfway through the draft. You know, not a position that I love. I'd rather be late or early. I think late's probably my favorite, but I was a little later in the draft, and I had some plans, and I kind of didn't want to plan too much until after the first pick. So I looked at some of the things that went early, and I came up with a strategy. So I'm not going to spoil too much, but you know how I draft. I almost always have my mega in the very last round, because I just find there are so many great megas. It's so easy to plan around them, and after the first couple rounds, you kind of know who's going to be around till the very end, so you get to have your pick of all the early tier things. So knowing that strategy, once it got to me, I'm like, who do I love, or who do I want to really use, but mostly like what's a mon that I love using who is not replaceable, because I feel like those are the mons you want to take early. And so when I looked at that, I decided Scizor. This is regular Scissor, not Mega Scissor. Again, because you know me, I like to wait on Megas unless there's one I really, really want and I have like an early pick. But no, I was waiting on my Mega, so I went with Scizor, because Scizor does things that no mon that is not named Scizor or Mega Scizor can do. So it has U-turn defog. It has only the one weakness, being fire. Yes, hidden power fire is a thing. Yes, mystical fire was given to like every fairy, but you're still not gonna. Mystical fire means you have to take a bullet punch, and I have a chance to set up, whether that is sword dance, whether I'm not setting up, I'm just like choiced. There's agility. I don't know what other setup things, but of course I'll look into them all because that's my jam. Scizor is just a mon that I really like. It got a few new play things to try out. We'll see. Who knows what I'll bring. I like to do shenanigans. But Scizor was a mon. I got a lot of flack for picking it in the first round. A lot of people thought it was the weakest round 1 pick, being tier 1B. So the tier 1s were split into A and B, and had cost a little bit different. But again, I just felt like it was a mon that couldn't be replicated by another mon, and that definitely would not have been there. I think at least one person said during the draft that they were going to take it with their round 2 pick, which was before my round 2 pick. So it was definitely something that I was happy I took when I did, in spite of the critiques. So with Scizor and with the mon I'm planning for the last pick for my mega, I looked at who's going to complement this. Now, one thing I like to do when I look at Scizor, the biggest thing everyone looks at is that 4-time fire weakness. Something that, I don't know, maybe counterintuitive to some people, but a strategy that I have liked historically is to stack 4-time weaknesses with different 4-time weaknesses, because then you got to choose. If you don't get either of those coverage moves, what hidden power are you going to use? Are you going to have HP fire, or are you going to have the HP for the next one I'm about to pick, who is lando-t. So lando-t was still on the board round 2. It wasn't something I don't think I've ever used in a draft league, but it's just like chilling there in round 2, and I was like, this is a mon I definitely want to use. It has a lot of great synergy with, again, the 4-time weaknesses. With Scizor, it has that U-turn ability. Again, it has setup ability with weird things, rock polish for sure. But it gets a lot of setup. It has bulk, it has intimidate, it can set up rocks, it can defog. I think it can defog. I assume anything that's flying can defog, right? And randomly Conkeldur's family. But I was very happy to add this to the team, and I think I'm planning right now as if I have 3 Mons, because I'm very confident after 2 rounds that the Mon I want is going to be available in round 10 as well. So I kind of have those things scoped out, and in my team building I had the types of those 3 Mons looking at, when I'm planning the rest of the roster. But I'm really happy with the 2 of these things, and particularly 2 things that can defog and that can U-turn. That was something that was really pivotal for me and for my planning, and something that I really wanted to focus on this season. So looking at those guys next, I decided, okay, I don't have speed right now, and I don't have special attacker right now, really. I mean, yes, of course, shenanigans are always an option, but I didn't really have anything yet. So for my round 3 pick, I went with Starmie. One of my favorite Mons from Gen 1, always a favorite, but this generation it really took a step up. It has, Rapid Spin got the buff, of course, which is great, and Flip Turn. So it has that initiative to get out of there, especially after a spin, get that +1 speed, so you're outspeeding everything, and then just run away. But of course, it's always got crazy shenanigans. It gets all kinds of coverage, with Thunderbolt, with Ice Beam, with Psyshock or Psychic, with Scald, Hydro Pump, Surf. No one uses Surf, though. But it gets all those great Flash Cannon, of course. Shout out to my cousin Andy and his Mega Diancie that was ready to take a Hydro Pump, but not a Flash Cannon. So yeah, it just gets wild and crazy things, and I am excited to have this guy on my team and to have that Flip Turn ability. Again, U-turn, U-turn, Flip Turn. That's where we're at right now. Defog, Defog, Rapid Spin. The only thing Starmie doesn't give me that I'm used to loving is a great setup sweep option. It doesn't have Calm Mind. It does get Cosmic Power as a weird thing, and then it gets that new Meteor Beam move, but I don't know her. So that's where we're at now. Those 3 Mons plus the 10th Mon in my plans. So let's jump right to our 4th Mon, who is Entei. So Arcanine was already taken, and well, we'll talk about another Mon that was already taken, but Arcanine was already taken, who we know is, good doggo, but here is another good doggo. And this one is tier 3, Arcanine was tier 2. I definitely like Arcanine more, but Entei at tier 3 I thought was real good value, and also real good fire type. Fire types, for whatever reason, I tend to go for more, thick ones. I know it's not great, rocks are a troublesome thing, but Entei, I like a lot. It's got some cool coverage. I forgot to mention with lando-t, but also with Entei, they are my Z-Mons. So it can do, of course, my normal Z Sunny Day, get that +1 speed, get the sun boost, get the ability to use solar beams, get the fire, extra fire damage as well. So there's that option for Entei, but it's got some other crazy things too. And yeah, I mean, Sacred Fire, we know it gets pretty good coverage, not as great as Arcanine. Again, there's a lot of things I keep saying for Entei, not as great as Arcanine, but one thing that is great is that it was a tier 3, and for me to afford my plans, I needed some tier 3s and some tier 5s. I did not need another tier 2, I did not need any tier 4s. So we've got Scissor, we've got lando-t, we've got Starmie, we've got Entei, I've got my plan for my Mega. So we're going to jump into my next Mon, who is Silvally. Silvally is a Mon I love. I didn't expect it to still be here in round 5, but I think tier 3 it is very solid. Having that Parting Shot ability, I think it can also U-turn. Being able to be any type at all gives you such great flexibility, and multi-attack, of course, doing crazy damage. 95s across the board. Again, you have a lot of flexibility with how you want to move those EVs and nature around. Great coverage too with things like Bolt Beam. There's just so much great about this Mon. I really enjoy using it, and it also plugs a lot of things, because right now I'm looking like, okay, I have water, fire if I want to complete that grass core. I have steel if I want this to be a fairy or a dragon, and I can continue with my planning from there. there's a lot of things I can do with this Sylvali. I'm very excited to see it here. And I think I'm going to really enjoy it with this team. And again, we've got now 4 of my 5 Mons that I have Switch Initiative, which is something I feel really strongly about, and 4 of the 5 Mons have, because this gets defog. So 4 of the 5 Mons I have also have the ability to remove hazards. So really sticking to that plan of I want to be able to switch a lot, I want to be able to remove hazards a lot, and I want to also have the option of setting up if they think I'm going to just run away, which Scizor can do, lando-t can do, and this thing gets Sword Dance, so this thing can do too. So I've got a lot of those options of like, which am I going to do? You're always guessing. So really excited. These ones are, I have one more tier 3, which is going to kind of be like my core. Then I've got some tier 5 sprinkled in, and then my Mega, of course, who's very important. So let's just jump right into the round 6 Mon, which is our last of the tier 3s, and is Tyrantrum. So I looked at dragon types in tier 3s. I definitely wanted a dragon based on just my planning and based on what I have so far. There are 4 dragons that stood out in tier 3 who were all available. So that was Kingdra, Noivern, Flagon, Tyrantrum. Kingdra I just felt is a little too in need of setup before it can do anything. It just doesn't have good base stats. It has the best typing of the 4 of those, but stats are just not great. Until it gets some boosts up. And the other ones, 4 times weak to ice. I didn't want to stack another 4-time weak ice to have 2 of them, though that'd be good for Scizor because less things running HP Fire, but I was like, I just don't want to do that. So that brought it to Tyrantrum, but I was pretty excited to give that a shot. Has setup ability. I don't know if it gets Rock Polish, but I know it gets Dragon Dance, but it doesn't need to set up. You can also just throw on a Choice Band, throw on Choice Scarf, hope that you hit with the Head Smash, and it has the ability to not take Recoil, I think? Maybe? I think that's the thing that this does. I've honestly never used it, but it's cool looking, and it covers some cool types. It can set up rocks, which is something that only lando-t could do so far on my team, so it's like, oh, I want to add that too. That's another good thing. So that was pretty much why I decided that. So as I mentioned, with I have a 1A, a 1B, a 2, 3, 3, 3. So now I've got 3 5s and then a Mega tier 1 to have my full points used. So that was my strategy. I'm very confident now I can just wait till the very end for my Mega because no one else who can take a Mega is going to take the one I'm aiming at. But I'm still going to make you wait for a few more picks for that unless you're in the league and you already know who my team is. So the first of the tier 5s that I took is Walrein, or Whalerain. I don't know. It's a wall, so maybe it's Walrein, maybe it's Whalerain. It's cool, though. This is the thing really looking at Scizor and lando-t. This thing's pretty monstrous. You want to go for Hidden Power Ice. This thing will probably just like gain HP from that attack because of the Water Ice type and Thick Fat. HP Fire, oh, you're part ice, but you're part water, so it's neutral, but then I resist it again with Thick Fat. So it's really about taking those types well. It's thick. I know it doesn't do a whole lot of other stuff other than like be thick, hit with ice attacks, hit with water attacks, but there are other shenanigans. I'm sure I can find something out. We'll see some good things. Maybe I'll just go for that, what is it, Blunder Policy? Is that the item that you get a boost if you miss? So maybe I'll just like throw that on and go for blizzards and see what happens, and just be fat there. That's basically what this mon is. It's just be fat, and doesn't offer too much support to the roster outside of just its great defensive typing for my roster, not in general. Sadly, Dugong is not good compared to this thing, or I'd use Dugong because Dugong is one of my favorite mons, but this thing's going to be cool. I think it'll come a few weeks. The typing just works so well with this team. So that was the first of the tier 5s. That was the one I really had my eyes on, and I was very happy I got that out of the way. But the next one was another one that I planned for. I kind of made a list of tier 5s because I had to take so many. I'm like, I don't want to need all of them because I don't think I could get all of them. But I did get the next one that I wanted, and that is Emolga. We know Electric Flying is a very great typing from Zapdos, from the Thundurus T's and Thundurus I, and Even I was kind of looking at Rotom Fan, but the tier didn't work for me. But then I was like, Emolga, that's a thing that exists. I remember having trouble against Elisa's Emolga, just never being able to hit with my Rock Tombs, and it would just do shenanigans. I think it double teamed, which of course I will not be double teaming because that is not legal and also not cool. But this thing can do a lot of cool things. It can defog again, it can Volt Switch or U-turn. I believe it gets both. It can nuzzle, or I guess Thunder Wave, but it can nuzzle. And it just gets some cool shenanigans. Tailwind is something that is always exciting, especially for the speed tiers of my Mon, to just say, hey, I don't care what your speed is, I can outspeed you for a few turns, and I can switch out. Like, that's something good for this. It doesn't get great coverage. I don't think it gets... I don't know if it gets any grass moves, which means ground types will be tough for it. But it can, it can U-turn out or do some other shenanigans. So yeah, I'm excited to use little Emolga, see what work that can put in. So now the last tier 5 Mon that I got, I was crazy excited because I had no idea this would be around. I needed those other 2 typings. I just felt they were really important for me, so I had to wait on this, and I'm like, there's no way this Mon in tier 5 is still going to be here, but guess what? It was. So for round 9, I got the tier 5 Mon, Masquerain. So anyone watching this, anyone who's watched any of my battles before or battled me, I love to set up, so why not give me a tier 5 Quiver Dance? Because I didn't have Quiver Dance before, and I was like, yeah, let's just throw that in, why not? But it also Sticky Webs, so I really love, again, with this kind of mind game thing I've got going with most of my team, of, oh, am I going to do A or am I going to do B? Am I going to do something that makes you want to switch out? Or am I going to do something that makes you want to stay in? And you're constantly thinking about this. And Masquerain's another Mon that's going to be right up there. Am I going to go for Sticky Webs or am I going to go for Quiver Dance? If you think I'm going to web and you switch out to your Defogger or Rapid Spinner and you're wrong and I go for Quiver Dance, that, that might be, if you switch out to something that can't Oko me, or if I have an item to make sure you can't Oko me, I might be able to get another setup and just win there. Or if you stay in, you're like, oh, I gotta get that attack off if this thing's trying to set up, and I just get my webs up. Having webs up with some of this roster, and especially with the Mega that I get to reveal to you very soon, that could just be game right there too. So, this Mon I think is fantastic for my roster. Yeah, it's got the 4 times rock weakness, but you know what? It's not perfect. It's tier 5. Not that any Mon's perfect, but a tier 5 Mon, I think this just checks so many boxes for tier 5 and really rounds out the team so well. But all that being said, I've revealed the first 9 picks I had, but again, after like round 1 and really for sure round 3, I knew, I'm like, the Mega I wanted is here, it's for me, it's available, no one else is touching it, so I did my usual and just waited till the very end, and so my last pick, but certainly not least of my roster, is Mega Gardevoir. So Mega Gardevoir is the Mon that I was looking at really even pre-draft. So one thing, anyone who's watched me in the UTA, you know that I love my Sylveon. I have done so much work with that. I've had sweeps with that, several of them. It's just, whether I'm behind a sub, Calm Mind, whether it's, if it's Wish, if it's the Heal Bell or Aromatherapy, whatever the move is it gets. But that is just my jam, especially in this league. But there was a lot of chatter about it before the draft, and I could tell that was moving the price up in terms of which round it was going to be taken. And I was like, everyone knows that I love this Mon, but if I have to take it so early, that's going to, weaken the rest of my team. Usually I can slip that in tier 3, or round 3 or 4, and the chat, it was like, I gotta take it round 2 if I want it, and where I am in the draft, I was like, I just don't think that's the smartest plan here. But I said, well, who else can pixelate Hyper Voice and do it even harder? And I saw that Mega Gardevoir, I was like, that thing, after the first couple of rounds, I'm like, that's going to be available. And I think, like I said, round 3 was where I knew no one else is going to take this, because anyone who didn't have a Mega had a Fairy already. It just wasn't going to happen that way. Of course, I had some backup plans if someone did double up on Fairies and take it, but that wasn't happening. So I knew. So the whole team has been built around having this mega Gardevoir, and again, all that switch initiative. So if I go for a U-turn, a parting shot, a volt switch, if they stay in, I can switch to something that's thick that can take the predicted attack. If they switch out and I can outspeed, I'm going to switch out to the Mega Gardevoir, and then what are you going to do there? If I outspeed you, do I have the coverage and I'm just going to OHKO you, get a nice kill? Can I kill you without coverage, just with a Hyper Voice? Am I forcing a switch and I get to set up? There's just so many things that switch initiative, which I have with Scizor, lando-t, Starmie, Silvally, Masquerain, or sorry, not Masquerain, Emolga. I don't think Masquerain gets U-turn. But anyways, yeah, like 5 mons that have switch initiative on this roster. So 5 things that can, make easy switches for Gardevoir, plus the sticky web option for Masquerain. I think that all of that is going to support Gardevoir so well, and I think I put it in a great position to be hugely successful. And that's kind of the strategy for the team. So thank you guys for sticking through all of this. I am very excited for the season. Peek behind the curtain. So I actually just had my week 1 battle, a little behind in recording because I'm moving to a new apartment in a week. And so right after I upload this, I'm just going to do very little bit of editing, make sure everything looks good, and I'm going to upload my week 1 battle. And so you guys have a lot of content to look forward to soon, and then when I get to my new apartment, I'll be on a good schedule, I think. So thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys soon.